Across the lands of the world of Katharia, many beings and peoples call this strange planet their home. This world is the source of many unknown and powerful magics, fueled by arcane stones called origin shards. And on this planet, a group of heroes are setting out to unravel the mysteries of Katharia. Welcome to Rolling for Stories, a Dungeons & Dragons radio drama. Episode 2, Battle at the Festival.
Previously on Rolling for Stories.
Welcome to this year's Spring Thaw Festival. The halfling village of Osaris is having its annual Spring Thaw Festival, and in the crowds of the small farming settlement, the paths of 7 disparate travelers are coming together.
Do you mind telling me why you were tailing me before?
You looked familiar.
Do I now? Am I...
What's your name?
Dante Reinhardt?
Introductions were made at the local tavern, along with reconnections from some of their pasts.
Do you two know each other?
Dante! This is my sister, Lexi.
Oh, you're Lexi.
Alexi.
I apologize.
Shortly after introductions, the travelers and the villagers were led across town to the festival's opening ceremony. It's been no secret that, especially in the past weeks, we have had our share of hardships. Many of our people in the village have been burgled in the nights, with much of our stored food and goods being taken from our barns and our homes. But my friends, this is why we are here today. You see, from these fine sellswords we have gathered here today, the best of them will be hired to seek out those responsible, bring them to justice, and return our stolen goods to us in time for the grand feast. 3 of the gathered travelers, Soren, Dante, and Cody, along with a handful of other mercenaries in Osaris, entered the makeshift arena set up for the festival. Professor Finzen Proudseeker, a local patriarch, then looked out over the fighters and began the competition. And that's where our story continues. Alright, is everyone ready? And begin! In a rapid motion, Dante spins toward Slugface and thrusts his spear directly through the goblin's stomach.
Oh shit!
Dante pulls the spear back, to which Slugface slumps onto the ground, unconscious and bleeding.
We're going to need a medic over here?
Amidst the cheering of the crowd, 3 halflings from the side of the ring rush in and drag Slugface out of the arena. Once there, they begin wrapping bandages around his torso as one of them begins radiating glowing yellow energy on their hands and touching the wound.
Sorry about that. Hope you feel better.
After a moment, Slugface gasps and starts rapidly flailing around, unaware of what had just happened. Soren turns his attention back to Dante.
My boy!
You just focus on yourself there.
I always do.
Soren turns his attention back towards Cody, with his blades drawn, and nonchalantly saunters towards her. He casually spins his blades in the air.
Don't go easy on me now.
Kick his ass!
Bold of you to assume I was gonna hit you.
Maybe I want you to hit me.
Oh boy.
Don't give in to him.
If I win, does that get me dinner?
Come on, kick his ass already.
Cody stares back at Soren, her face full of contempt.
If I lose, can I still buy you dinner?
As long as you're paying.
Gotta keep track of my coin purse. Okay, this is not personal, unless you want it to be.
Soren darts towards Cody, swinging his right scimitar at her, which she ducks backwards to avoid. As Soren pivots on his foot, the grass he is standing on is more slick than he was expecting, and his feet quickly slide out from under him. Soren falls backwards and slams down onto the ground, now lying on his back.
Sorry, maybe next time.
I'm not out yet.
Soren reaches above his head and pushes off of the ground while kicking his feet into the air. He flips forwards before landing on his feet. He grips his scimitar tight before swinging it back towards Cody and slashing it across her left leg.
All right, you got me there.
Soren smiles before seeing that the wound he caused on Cody begins to produce sparkling golden blood.
What?
That's really cool.
On the other side of the arena, an aquatic triton person named Zolzos darts towards Magdalene, a human woman in full plate armor. Zolzos removes a quarterstaff from their back and takes 2 swings towards Magdalene. She raises her shield up and is able to block the attacks, taking a half step back as she does.
All right.
Squaring her shoulders and pulling her elbows in, Cody brings her fists in front of her face before quickly jabbing out with her left hand. The metal knuckles connect and the small blade slashes across his cheek. Soren stumbles backwards.
You asked for this.
Soren reaches up and touches the cut on his face.
Are you good?
Never been better.
Soren throws his hair backwards, arcing it over his head. Cody then lunges forwards, hooking her right fist towards her target. Soren, however, steps to the side of her strike. The two turn back towards each other, staying within range while eyeing each other up. Looking towards Dante, a dwarven man named Balrak begins walking across the arena. He sets his 2-handed warhammer standing up on the ground at his side, before grasping a pendant hanging around his neck, which glows a faint white light. He closes his eyes for a moment before extending his hand out towards Dante and firing a beam of white energy outwards. The guiding bolt soars through the air, past Dante's shoulder and off into the distance, before eventually dissipating into the air.
Ah, shit.
Dante looks towards Belrock before beginning to slowly walk towards him. Farbrek, another dwarven man, runs up to his brother's side. He brings his hands up from underneath his cloak and slaps his brother on the back.
Don't worry, I've got this, brother.
Farbrek touches all of his fingertips together before drawing them out and producing long silver threads of magic in the air. The threads circle around his hands for a moment before Farbrek points at Dante, sending the energy streaking through the air. Each magic missile impacts into Dante's body, stopping his advance towards the brothers.
Oh, come on, Dante. You know what you have to do.
Not here.
Meanwhile, Magdalene raises her shield back up before swinging the sword in her right hand forwards. The sword glides off of Zolzos' quarterstaff as both reposition themselves. To the side of the arena, an elven man named Dorlamine darts to the back flank of the dwarven brothers, out of their visions. He grasps his wooden staff in both hands before slamming it down on the ground. As he does, the grass begins rapidly growing, reaching out towards the brothers. It lunges up, attempting to entangle both of the dwarves, but they both react quickly and are able to break out of the plant matter with their arms.
Do it, Dante.
I'm not letting him out.
From near the center of the ring, Lirun, a large bronze dragonborn woman, begins to step forwards. She begins to breathe heavily and slaps herself hard on the shoulder, snarling and grunting angrily as she does so. Her large muscles flex and bulge as she reaches for 2 hand axes, one strapped to each of her hips. She cocks one back before overhand throwing it into the fray. The tomahawk sails through the air and makes contact directly between Dorlamine's shoulder blades. He seizes up at the impact. Ow! Dorlamine falls to his knees and down into the grass, unconscious. The crowd cheers as medics rush in from the perimeter, pulling the elven man out and tending to his wounds after removing the axe from his back.
I'm not doing it.
Oh, you're no fun.
I know I'm no fun, but you know why.
Dante turns from Soren, bringing his attention back to Farbrek. As he does, the blade of his spear morphs back into a snake's head, which reaches down to Dante's forearm. The snake head plunges its fangs into Dante's forearm, to which he winces for a moment. As the snake retracts into the spear, the points of the weapon become slowly enveloped in dark black and red flames of a crimson rite. Dante shouts towards Farbrek.
You better pay attention to your surroundings.
Dante flips his spear around in his hand before taking 2 long strides and throwing it towards the sorcerer. Farbrek quickly turns, hearing Dante shout towards him. The spellcaster's arms come up in reflex, apparating a translucent force in front of him. The flaming spear collides with the shield and lands on the ground nearby. Dante continues running up next to Farbrek, grabbing the spear from the ground and holding it to his side in a battle stance. At the other side of the arena, Soren and Cody stand apart from each other, both at the ready.
How about we take these other people out and you can, fight me later?
I could really use help over here, guys.
Soren spins his swords around in his hands as faint blue sigils illuminate along the blades. The energy goes from the swords down to his forearms as the blade ward covers his body in the faint blue magic.
I'm gonna back away from you now. Gonna go help my buddy out. Then we can fight each other. Deal?
Okay, bye!
Soren reaches up and unclasps his cloak before tossing it to Cody.
Hold on to this for me, would ya?
He winks at Cody before turning his back to her. As he begins to walk away, Cody kicks her leg up directly into Soren's crotch. Some of the audience members watching begin laughing and clapping at Soren's pain as he falls to his side on the ground, doubled over in pain. From the side of the arena, Alexith puts her face in her hand and shakes her head.
See you later for dinner!
Cody blows a kiss and begins skipping away towards the other combatants as she stuffs his cloak into her bag. Soren slowly gets himself onto one knee.
I don't know if I'm into this.
Soren slowly gets back to his feet and walks towards Zolzos. As he does, he puts his scimitars back together into his lute and strums across the front of it.
I can't feel my when I'm with you. And I'm not sure if I like it.
As Soren strums and sings, the runes on his lute begin to glow again before lines of ethereal sheet music, stabs, and notes begin floating out of his instrument. The musical energy floats through the air towards Cody before beginning to gently encircle her person.
Sorry, that was harder than I meant for it to be.
It's okay. Dinner?
Zolzos, standing next to Soren, turns around after hearing his music being played. They regrip their staff and swing it towards Soren's chest. He spots the movement from the corner of his eye and is able to bob and weave out of the way of the 2 strikes Zolzos takes at the Drow Bard. With Zolzos now occupied, Cody quickly approaches their flank. She half steps forwards and throws a straight punch followed by a massive uppercut, which catches Zolzos directly under their jaw. They sail into the air before landing on the soft grass below, unconscious.
Look, Soren, it's easy.
From the perimeter, medics come and retrieve the unconscious Triton monk. As they retreat, Magdalene, Cody, and Soren all share an expecting look, daring each other to make the next move. From the side, Belrak grabs the handle of his hammer again and runs towards Dante. He swings it sideways, and the head connects with Dante's ribs, which pushes him to the side. Walking towards the fence, Farbrek closes his eyes to focus as he begins to conjure spell energy between his hands.
I've got you, brother.
Farbrek points his glowing open palm towards his brother, who begins glowing with a similar arcane power. The true strike energy appears as a faint circle pattern on Belrak's chest. The dwarven cleric looks up at his brother in disbelief.
What are you doing? What? That's the wrong spell. What do you mean? It's supposed to help. Yeah, it's going to help them attack me. Well, how was I supposed to know that? It's your spell. Learn what your spells do for Shanti's sake.
Backed by the others, Magdalene raises her shield in front of herself and charges towards Cody with her sword. The blade pierces her arm as Cody pulls back and grabs the wound with her opposite hand. Meanwhile, Leroon walks to where Dorlimine fell and retrieves her throwing axe from the ground. She roars and hurls it through the air, which connects with Dante's side. Dante resets himself, his body sporting many cuts and blood from the battle. From his position, he narrows his eyes before thrusting his black flaming spear towards Belrak. Its blade pierces through his side and out the back. As the spear emerges, it transforms back into the golden snakehead and releases an ear-splitting screech which emanates outwards. As the sound reaches his ears, Farbrek's eyes close as he passes out. Dante removes his spear amongst cheering from the crowd as healers rush in to help the dwarven man. Dante drops down to one knee, battered and bruised. Soren separates his scimitars from his lute once more and strikes at Magdalene. The first blow glances off of her shoulder plate.
Oh, fuck.
He swings with his other hand, but Magdalene is able to raise her own sword up and parry the strike.
Oh, I'm always down for a challenge.
Darting in next to Soren, Cody swings her fist up into Magdalene's stomach, directly under her plate armor. She stumbles back a bit, her eyes wide in shock, as she isn't used to taking hits. Cody leaps up and swings a hammer fist down at the paladin, but she's able to raise her shield up and glances the blow off of it. Farbrek, after seeing his brother be taken to the side of the arena, tenses up in anger.
It's a tournament, you kind of have to expect.
In a quick move, Farbrek claps his hands together, creating a shockwave which erupts in the vicinity. The thunderclap impacts against Dante as he covers his ears in pain before his eyes roll back and he collapses to the ground. Farbrek steps back as the medics come in to retrieve Dante.
Your buddy went down.
Yep.
While Cody and Soren watch Dante get healed by the medics, Magdalene brings her shield hand up to her opposite shoulder. Wincing at the pain, she lays her hand on herself, causing a silver and yellow glow on herself, which closes up the wound slightly. She starts to walk away from the other fighters. However, Soren and Cody are alerted to the sound of her metal armor and spin back around to face her. As she turns to run, Cody kicks the back of her knee, knocking Magdalene down to the ground, before Soren slices down across her chest. Magdalene teeters for a moment before collapsing backwards onto the ground.
Nice work.
Hell yeah.
The halflings pull Magdalene to the side and begin healing her up. Looking back into the ring, Soren and Cody spot Leroon charging towards Farbrek. She removes a large great axe from her back and swings it at the dwarf. The axe swings upwards, cutting across the sorcerer's chest. Cody looks at Soren expectantly.
Sorry, I'm still trying to get over that kick.
I didn't mean for it to be so hard. It just kind of happened.
No, it's fine. Fine. It's fine.
So, are we going to go take those two people out?
Yes. That was the plan, right?
Soren moves closer first, pulling a small hand crossbow from his side. He aims it and pulls the trigger, sending a bolt through the air, which pierces into Leroon's scaly dragonboard hide. She turns towards Soren.
Come on.
Moving with incredible speed, Cody darts towards the Dragonborn, the wind almost seeming to carry her forwards. She moves in and fires a fist directly into Leroon's side. At the impact, Leroon's eyes dart towards Cody. She brings her great axe around and swings at the monk. Cody leans backwards as the axe blade glides a fraction of an inch away from her neck. She backhand walks over out of danger, her eyes open in shock at the barbarian.
Damn, okay.
On Leroon's other side, Farbrek quickly conjures fire between his hands and throws it at the barbarian. The bolt of fire sails past her before dissipating in the air in the distance. Running to the side, Soren loads another bolt into his crossbow. He leaps forward through the air and fires at Farbrek. The bolt sails through the air, going wide away from the sorcerer, who doesn't notice it. The bolt finds purchase in the bark of a nearby tree. Soren lands on the ground before slowly picking himself back up and slowly walking back.
That's embarrassing. Good thing no one was looking my way. Only everyone.
Circling around Leroon, Cody maneuvers herself towards Farbrek. She quickly spins around and hooks a fist into the side of the sorcerer's head before following through with her momentum and swinging back towards Leroon. Farbrek falls unconscious as Cody's second strike goes wide as she faces the barbarian once again. Leroon swings her axe at Cody's torso, but she is able to dart out of the way. To the side, Soren walks forwards, readying his lute in his hands. He strums on the strings, creating glowing music notes from the instrument, which circle and land on his skin.
Healing word, ow, it hurts so healing word.
After the final note is strummed, he detaches his scimitars once more and slices across Leroon. Her body is covered in cuts and wounds as her eyes flash between her two assailants. In a flash, Cody strikes forward, punching directly across Leroon's face. She spins with the punch and wobbles on her feet for a moment before collapsing onto the ground unconscious. As Soren and Cody look at each other, Finzen walks quickly to the edge of the arena. All right, that's enough. That went quicker than I thought, oh my gosh. Finzen enters the ring and walks towards the two remaining fighters. He raises both of their hands up in his own, to the sound of cheering from the crowd. Soren slings his lute back onto his shoulder and shoots dancing blue lights out of his fingertips into the air. Enjoy the Spring Thaw Festival for the next week, everyone. Drink, be merry, dance, and enjoy. Want to stay up to date on future Rolling for Stories episodes? Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Encore VH. You'll get behind-the-scenes news and content along with links to all of our YouTube and Spotify content the minute they go live. Follow at Encore VH on Twitter. Link in the description. Inside the arena, Professor Finzen is holding both Soren and Cody's hands up in victory, while the festival onlookers cheer and celebrate. Soren leads towards Cody as the audience finishes their applause and begins standing up before starting to walk elsewhere in the village.
Is there a prize for this?
We get to go on the quest now.
Oh, that was the prize.
Sorry I kicked you in the balls.
Not the first time. Probably won't be the last time.
Yeah, you got me there.
So, what kind of food do you like?
Can I go get healed first?
I can help you with that.
Please.
Gonna heal you with words.
The strands of music emanate from the lute on Soren's back again as he sings, and circle around Cody as her wounds slowly close. Dante walks up to them, having been tended to by the healers at the festival.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, how are you?
Surviving.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Hey.
Need some heals?
A little bit.
Sure.
The music emanates out again and begins healing Dante's numerous wounds. He then flicks his hand upwards into a pose, and a faint blue outline of prestidigitation rolls down him and Cody's persons. The magic cleans off any dust and dirt, leaving the both of them impeccably clean. Soren leans towards Cody with his palm outstretched.
Might I have my cloak back, please?
Oh, yeah.
Cody opens her messenger's bag before reaching inside. Her arm goes deep into the bag, much deeper than the bag's size would suggest. She reaches around inside for a bit before pulling out Soren's crumpled up cloak.
Here you go.
That's a pretty deep bag.
Yeah, it can hold a lot of shit.
Huh.
Dante, Cody, and Soren then all turn and begin walking towards the audience, which is now heading back into town. Across the crowd, Pumpkin climbs on top of a chair and tries to look over the crowds. He stands on his toes, looking around, but doesn't seem to spot the person he was looking for. From the arena, Professor Finzen walks towards Cody and Soren, his hands clasped together.
Great show out there, both of you, honestly. I think that the two of you will be a great start to whatever group we can put together for this. Come with me, please. I'd like to talk for a bit.
He begins walking back to the benches where the contestants were first seated. He stops and thinks to himself for a moment before turning back towards Dante.
You there. You can come with me too, actually.
Okay.
The three sit down on the bench, now at eye level with Finzen.
Alright, so if I'm being totally honest, that fight got a little out of hand. It went quicker than I was expecting, frankly because some of you are...
Finzen glances over at the other contestants, ensuring that they are out of earshot.
I think you guys are the right ones for the job, and I don't want to trust any of the others to it. They seem a little squishy, frankly. Except for that Dragonborn woman, but she looks kind of insane. So I don't know if she's a good fit.
By the medics, Leerun, laying on the ground, gasps as she comes to, grunting and flailing her arms around. The healers yelp and frantically move away from her as she gets to her feet and begins stomping away.
Yeah, I don't trust her with anything delicate. So, 3 of you, great. But, at least in my own personal experiences, I know that a traveling mercenary type group might benefit from a few more bodies, so... I know it's a long shot, but would you 3 happen to know of anyone else, maybe?
While Finzen talks, Tepos, the young teenaged halfling, walks up next to the professor.
Yeah, what about those ones that you were talking to in the bar? Can they fight? Where did they go?
I know at least one of them can hold her own. I don't know about anyone else, though.
Who would that be?
My sister.
Oh, fantastic. I would like you then to, if you could go find your sister, or, of course, if she's willing. And
Finzen starts fumbling his words as he is trying to piece his thoughts together. Soren runs his hands through his own wavy hair.
What kind of, benefits are we talking about for this job? What kind of pay?
It's the gold.
Upwards of 700 gold, yes.
I'm sorry. I must have missed that.
That's fine.
Maybe you were too distracted?
Always.
Well, we can talk more about details at my study when we get there. Dante swings and smacks Soren in the chest with the back of his hand.
Ow!
There were a few other people at the bar. I know one of them was the Hilltopple kid, so I can try and find her to see if she's interested in such a task. Soren swings his arm around Dante's shoulders.
Well, this one's in for sure.
Well, it's good that you two get along so well already, despite not knowing each other before.
Oh, we've traveled together for a year or so before.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, it was one long year.
It was a good year.
I've never met these men before in my life.
Well, I'm hoping to get to know you better then.
Well, tell you what, you can all go out for a bit if you know of anyone else that might be of help for this, because I don't frankly know what this mission that I have in mind for you all would require specifically, so, you see that building over there? Finzen points towards the village proper, to a building in the center of town that stands out from the rest. It stands a story taller than most of the other structures and is almost completely circular and sports a large glass dome roof. That is my study, or my laboratory, rather. So what do you say in half an hour, we'll meet back there and we can talk more details then. That all sound good?
Sure.
Great.
All right, fantastic. The professor then slides his quill pen back onto his side before clasping his hands together. See you all in a few. He then turns and begins walking into the town.
Why do I feel uneasy about this?
What makes you uneasy about it?
Something just doesn't feel right.
In what way?
I'm never not suspicious of everyone, so...
I mean, yeah, I suppose, but... I mean, when it comes to women, you're never suspicious, so...
Not outwardly, at least.
Yeah.
Shall we go? So my sister, right? Who else was sitting by us?
There was that cat.
Oh! I completely forgot about that little guy.
I think there was...
Oh! There was that one, the one halfling girl. Angie or something?
I didn't catch her name. I already left.
Cody, do you remember her name?
Andre? No, Andrew.
Right, well, it sounded like they were all going to sit together, so maybe they're somewhere nearby?
Was it 700 each? Or to share amongst ourselves?
You are not about to steal 700 from me.
I'm not! Did I say I was going to steal?
While the two argue, Cody has zoned her attention out and is staring off into the middle distance. She refocuses her eyes and starts to scan the area for the figure she spotted at the bar earlier. Off to the side of the open field, Layers leans up against the trunk of a tree, keeping themselves hidden from view of most of the festival attendees. Looking around, Cody, however, isn't able to spot Layers in the sea of halflings present. As Dante and Soren argue, Soren looks over to Cody and recognizes the look in her eyes. He makes a mental note that she is most likely looking for a specific person in the crowd. In the crowd of halflings, Andrea is walking back towards the town proper. As she glances around, she spots the professor walking, who then locks eyes with her. Oh, Andrea, hello. Do you have a moment? Just 1 second to talk, please. Finzen begins walking towards Andrea with a smile on his face. If you have a second, I have something I'd like to ask of you, please.
Sure, Professor. What is it?
Let's talk in my study, actually. I'm having some people over that I think you'd like to meet. I have a little bit of a favor, actually. Andrea looks uncertain. Is something the matter?
No. It's okay. I can come with you.
I promise it won't take long at all. Finzen turns and begins leading Andrea back into the village. For his older age, the professor moves with a noticeable spryness, and he is always a few paces ahead of Andrea. After walking for a few moments, Andrea is led to the professor's familiar laboratory. He holds the door open for her before following Andrea through. Inside the study is a large open floor plan, using most of the building's interior. Throughout, there are many large piles of cluttered papers, notebooks, and other collections. Atop the tables and countertops are collections of assorted equipment, empty beakers, measuring devices and scales, and more books and journals on the tabletops. Through the piles of paper, a walkway has been cleared which leads from the front door and branches out towards different points in the room. Finzen walks with purpose through the clutter, towards the back of the room. He steps over a patch of the ground that has various chalk markings on it, which look to resemble an arcane sigil. Andrew notices the sigil appears unfinished, as there are several gaps and empty spaces throughout the different parts of its design. She follows the professor to the table he walked to, which is slightly more cleared off than the others, only sporting various open scrolls and books, along with a pile of dirty plates and silverware. Finzen motions towards Andrew. Alright, well, I don't mean to get into business right away, but I asked the ones from the tournament, who I figured were the best for such a task, to come over to discuss things. I mean, I've been an adventurer in the past. I know that I'm not innocent of these sorts of things as well. But frankly, I'm just worried about if word gets out about, those mercenaries that came from Osaris. They came into our town and burned it down. Just if they go somewhere else. I guess, just getting right to it. Would you mind tagging along with them to just keep their moral compass straight? I know of the possibilities of such a group. I was part of that debauchery back in my younger days, but I don't know. We might have to run it by your parents, I'm sure, but still...
Yeah, but I did meet them earlier today. I can see where you might think that. Quick question. How are you gonna pay them again?
Oh, I was going to do some of the payments now, and then when they're done with it, I'll give them the rest.
That might be good. They don't seem like the type that would just do it out of the goodness of their hearts.
No, believe me, I know how the mercenary's mind works. You do not pay it all up front, I'm well aware. So, I know it's a big ask, it might be a lot, but I'm sure it would only be about a day or so there and back. If you're willing to do it, if not, I totally understand.
That doesn't sound too bad, but I am worried about the town if we send them off.
Finzen begins wandering around his study to different tables and piles of equipment. Well, luckily, at least from what I've heard from anyone throughout the town, no one's been injured or anything, but we've had many farmers and people looking through their stocks and noticing that things are missing. It's worth looking into, especially with the grand feast coming up. You can't have a grand feast without enough food. You know that's how you get some angry halflings.
I remember from our own dinner table growing up with my siblings.
You gotta move quick, and the food does not last long. Now imagine that with several hundred halflings. So, are you sure that it's not too much trouble?
I think I'll be okay. I'm perhaps a little stronger than when you last saw me, Professor.
Great. Well, if you'd like, you can hang out here. I told them all to show up here in about half an hour or so hopefully they'll be coming back soon. I asked them to go find whoever those other people they were with at their table at the Sleepy Donkey. Just people that I feel are, Did you watch the fights? Did you watch the combat? Yeah, there were some that went down pretty quickly. I thought that goblin fellow was going to be able to surprise us, but he went down quick. But regardless, I'm hoping that the ones you all spoke to at the tavern will be able to fare a little bit better, and our town's chances will be a little bit higher.
I mean, I would certainly do my best. I'm not sure about the rest of them, though, but I guess we shall see.
Well, there's always a little risk in it, but nothing wrong with that. But again, thank you so much for this. Finzen clasps his hands together. Please, make yourself comfortable while you're here. I'm going to go get ready as well. Finzen walks off, leaving Andrew by herself in his lab. She looks around at the piles of papers, wondering where she's supposed to make herself comfortable, before deciding to sit cross-legged on the floor. Oh, I almost forgot. Finzen goes to a small side table and picks up a satchel from it. He opens it and takes a few gold pieces out of the pile, before tying it back up and walking over to Andrew. I know I'm going to have to pay the others who won the competition, but you should get something as well. Andrew is handed 30 gold pieces. Your payment.
No, it's really not necessary, Professor.
Of course it is. Finzen smiles kindly before turning away once more. All right, make yourself comfortable. I'm going to go make some tea. He leaves the room, leaving Andrew sitting on the floor of his study, contemplating what she had just agreed to. While Andrew and Finzen were talking, across the town, Soren and Dante were wandering around, looking for the others they had spoken to before. Eventually, the two spot Alexith and Pumpkin sitting at a picnic table in the shade of a tree. Alexith has her spellbook open on the tabletop and is showing the Tabaxi boy what she has written inside. The two men sit down, joining them at the table. Meanwhile, Cody is walking around the festival grounds, her eyes scanning the crowds for the figure she spotted earlier at the tavern. She walks towards the main festival grounds again. On stage, another music performance has begun, while the halflings at tables have started eating their midday meal. The musicians are all playing various stringed instruments now, some of which have over a dozen strings in their design. The musicians strum across the strings with a pick being held in each hand. Cody looks over the crowd and spots the figure from earlier, who sports gray skin and slicked back hair. Layers spots Cody, to which she waves her hand at them and begins approaching.
Shit.
Layers inhales before cautiously starting to approach the tiefling, knowing that they've been made.
Are you Layers?
Who's asking?
You'll find out.
Meaning,
Follow me.
no?
You know, I'm really trying to be cool here. Can you just follow me? I've had a rough day, and I just got out of combat, and I don't really know what I'm doing, and this guy's been hitting me on me all day, and I just don't really know
I'm still
what
not
to
going
do.
to. But are you okay?
Maybe.
Do I need to be worried?
So, okay. Hello.
Layers glances around the festival grounds, unsure of what is happening currently.
Hi.
So, I know some things about you, and I need to talk to you about them. And I'd rather not do that here, because this is a public place with a lot of people that could hear us.
What are you suggesting?
You know, I thought I saw you over at the Sleepy Donkey. Would you mind? I think I can get a room there, or at least we could just go sit at a table.
As long as you're quiet about it.
Okay.
Cody then turns and starts skipping towards the inn, while Layers slumps their shoulders and follows behind. Cody stops and turns to walk alongside Layers, who is keeping themselves quiet and is trying to be unnoticed by the people around them. The two walk past Sorn, who is sitting in front of the festival stage, enamored with the musical performance, his expression like one of a starry-eyed child. After a few minutes, the two return to the Sleepy Donkey Inn. The tavern is much emptier than it was earlier in the day, with only around a half dozen of the tables currently occupied. Layers leads Cody to a booth at the back corner of the room.
So, I believe you know a man named Nelson. He sent me here about some things you stole. He'd like them back.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't lie to me.
I seriously don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, Layers, my dude. I've had a weird day. Fell over some halflings earlier. That was weird. Got caught by this weird guy who I just met, and I don't know what the fuck's going on. But I do know that Nelson sent me here after you to get some things that you stole, so you better give them to me, or I will do something.
Layers stares at Cody in silence.
If you can tell me the things that he just so happens to be looking for, maybe I can lead you in the right direction.
I believe it was, let me think. Some ceremonial oil that was like super high quality, and his holy symbol. So, you know, he can't really do his job without those things, and he would like them back.
Sounds pretty important.
Cody stares at Layers in silence.
Do you not trust me? Is there not trust here?
You are more than welcome to take a look at my stuff, but I don't know what to tell you.
Can I take a look at your stuff?
You can take a look in this bag.
Layers places their bag on the table and slides it over to Cody. She opens it and looks through its contents, but only finds their travel gear, such as a bedroll, clothes, and food rations. Cody looks up to see if they can spot the items on Layers' person.
I'm telling you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so since obviously you don't trust me, I think that maybe you should, or maybe
I'm going to get us some drinks.
Please.
Layers stands up and walks over towards the bar, while Cody rubs her temples, keeping her eyes locked on them. They speak to the bartender, who starts to gather ingredients. Layers is leaning on the bar counter, looking around, before quickly darting off to the side. They collide with a stool, which falls over and loudly crashes onto the ground.
Shit!
Layers steadies themselves, before continuing to run towards and out the front door. Watching this, Cody immediately springs up and sprints through the tavern after them. Outside the door, Layers frantically takes in their surroundings. Down the central path of Osaris, they spot a large circular building with a domed roof. They dash forwards through the crowds of people walking the streets. A few moments later, Layers approaches the building and spots a pile of crates set up against the outside. They push the crates away from the wall and maneuver themselves behind them before crouching down in an attempt to get out of sight. Cody emerges from the tavern and sees Layers darting through the crowded street. She follows along, pushing her way through the crowd before arriving at the circular building. She looks around and after a moment spots a pile of misaligned crates near the building.
Please don't. I can see you. Stop.
Inside the building, Andrew hears a thud against the outside wall. Confused, she stands up and walks to the window, stepping over the clutter on the floor to get there. Looking through the glass, she spots a gray-skinned person crouching behind a pile of crates, and a tiefling woman she recognizes from the tavern earlier in the day, who is looking in disbelief towards the person in hiding. Andrew unlatches the window and pushes it open.
What's going on here?
It's none of your business.
Actually, it could be, though. So, basically, I need them to give something back to me, and they won't, and they ran away from me, and I know that they have it on them.
You have no proof.
I do!
No!
See, here's the thing. Somebody told me and gave me potential money to get it from you, so I need to get it from you because I am broke.
Oh, hey, Cody.
Cody turns her head and sees Sorn, Dante, Alexith, and Pumpkin approaching the laboratory. Sorn is holding a cob of corn in one hand and takes a bite off of it.
Look, maybe if you come with me and do this with me/us, you would trust me more.
In what world?
This one.
Do you think that I would go with you?
You'd get 700 gold out of it.
This feels like a he said, she said kind of situation. Maybe we should just get down to the bottom of this.
Andrew reaches for her holy symbol around her neck and closes her eyes as she grasps it. She whispers to herself for a moment before releasing the symbol and tracing a circle in the air in front of her. In the grass surrounding Cody and Layers, a large circle gets drawn around them, made of glowing green and silver magical energy. Cody and Layers watch the zone around them, and each feels a slight pressure in the back of their minds, but they both wince and are able to push past it.
That usually works.
Sorn walks up to Cody's side.
I knew you were telling somebody.
That obvious?
For me, at least, it was.
Oh good, you're all here. Andrew turns around, having failed to notice the professor had walked up behind her and is also looking out the window, over her shoulder. Come on in, all of you. I've got something to talk with all of you about. Front door's over there. Finzen points to his left before walking back into the room. Alexith turns to Sorn.
Are you sure you want to do this?
No, but...
There are better ways to spend our time. Correction. There are better ways to spend my time.
But money!
To their side, Cody and Layers are still arguing.
You're coming with us.
No.
Please, you'll get money and friendship, but money.
I like that answer.
Very well.
Let me be clear with you.
Layers stands up and approaches Cody.
There is no situation in which I will be honest with you or give you what you're looking for.
Sorry, it's a little opaque right now. I don't know if you're being clear.
Period.
Wait, so you do have what I'm looking for?
I never said that.
I think they have what I'm looking for, Sorn.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Who's that?
So this is Layers. They took something and I was hired to get it back.
Oh, so you stole something.
No.
Yes.
No!
Dante narrows his eyes, not believing what they're saying. He notices that Layers doesn't emote hardly at all, contradicting their angry tone of voice.
Right.
What are you going to do with them?
Give them back and then get paid.
But I hate that son of a bitch.
I'll give you some of the pay cut.
How much?
It's 500 gold, so it'd be 250 each.
Make it 350 and I'll give them to you.
But that's bad for me because I'm poor.
And I have them, and you won't get them otherwise.
Who are you working for?
You don't need to know.
Who are you working for?
Nelson, I told you.
So nobody else sent you?
No. I work for whoever pays me.
You know, I don't think this is the right spot to talk about this, especially if
350 and I'll give you the stuff.
We're coming in, Prof.
Deal.
Layers reaches into a pocket on the inside lining of their coat and retrieves a vial of dark amber liquid which slowly sloshes around inside the container. The bottle has thin silver filigree wrapping around its glass surface. Layers also produces a necklace with a thin gold chain. Hanging from the chain is a circular amulet which sports a carving of an olive branch, detailed with green and gold metals. They hand the 2 items to Cody.
When we make our way back to Nelson's, I'll give you the payment.
I would hold on to those if I were you.
I'm going to. They're very expensive.
Don't tell me where you're putting those.
I'm not.
I will try to steal them back.
Look away, then.
Cody turns her back to Layers before putting the items in her travel bag.
Thank you.
Shall we, then?
The group exchanges looks before turning to head into the laboratory. Dante opens the door and holds it open for the others.
Oh, Pumpkin, did you end up finding your friend?
I couldn't see her with all the commotion.
Oh, I suppose that makes sense.
Inside the lab, the 6 travelers are greeted with the mess of papers and lab equipment that fills the space. Across at a table, Andrea is reading from a book open on the tabletop, with her hands folded behind her back. She looks up at the group coming in as Finzen emerges from a side door. He wears oven mitts over both of his hands and is holding a tea kettle from its side handle and is supporting it from the bottom with his other hand.
Oh, perfect timing. The kettle just boiled. Come in, come in.
Finzen starts carefully walking with the kettle across the open room. He steps around his piles of papers, books, and carefully steps between the lines of the unfinished arcane sigil on the wooden floor. He approaches a countertop and begins pouring the hot water into small wooden cups set out on a serving tray. The group files in, and Sorn sits on a stool next to Andrea.
Agatha, right?
Not even close.
So, could you tell me a bit more about this Karen's father, and if I really need to be worried about him?
First off, it's Christy.
Oh, Christy!
I'm rather concerned that you didn't know that. And yes, she also has 3 brothers that you'll have to be looking out for now, too.
Wow, you really screwed the pooch on this one.
You really dug yourself into a hole this time, my friend.
No werewolves recently, funny enough. So no, I did not screw the pooch.
The 7 travelers stare back at each other in the silence.
Tea, anyone?
Please.
Professor Finzen carries the serving tray over to the group and sets it down before starting to hand out the teacups.
Thank you.
Do you have chocolate milk?
Oh, of course.
Ooh, I'll have some of that too.
I'll be right back then.
The professor walks away as Pumpkin's eyes go wide with excitement. Finzen comes back a moment later with a large roll of paper tucked under his arm and a glass of chocolate milk in each hand, which he sets down in front of Sorn and Pumpkin.
All right, well, thank you all for coming. For those of you who participated, first of all, I want to say again, congratulations. That was a wonderful fight. The rest of you were actually brought here at my request. If I'm being honest, some of the others that participated, I don't think would be up for such a task. So the rest of you were recommended. And if you're willing, I believe you would all do well with such a task. But first of all, how is everyone? I don't mean to keep getting right into business. Are we enjoying the festival?
The opening ceremony was different.
I mean, it gets people excited, and we want to keep energy as high as we can for the week. But take your time and explore while you're here, please. Vendors and performers will be coming and going throughout the entire week, so things will be changing throughout.
I've enjoyed myself for the most part, but where I took that hammer to my side, it still kinda hurts.
Dante, we really have to catch up.
Do we, though?
Absolutely!
Well, if all of you take this job, I'd imagine you'd have plenty of time to do that. If anyone is interested, I can get right to that. There's a number of details that I would like to cover.
While the group is conversing, Layers' eyes are looking around the room, taking stock of the expensive-looking items in the lab. As Finzen talks with the others, Layers starts to saunter around the room, with their hands crossed behind their back, and approaches a set of shelves that is placed on a countertop. The shelves are holding an assortment of differently shaped and colored glass bottles, with many different contents in them. The rogue turns their back to the shelves and reaches out their hand, grasping a small glass that contains a dark blue liquid. They quickly slide it into a back pocket and begin walking back towards the group. Back at the table, Finzen grabs the parchment tucked under his arm and sets it on the tabletop. He unrolls it, revealing a large map which shows the entirety of the country of Merriman, where the village of Osaris is found.
Now, like I mentioned before, we, as a village, have been having a good amount of our food stores being taken in the nights recently.
Now, it doesn't seem to be any specific farm or person, it just seems to be pretty evenly throughout. This has been happening through the last month or so, and we frankly aren't really a town that has much in the way of people who can deal with that sort of thing. So that's why we put out the Help Wanted posters. Luckily, with all this happening, no one has been hurt by whoever's taking it. But we would like our wares back, because frankly, if we don't, the grand feast at the end of this festival will be a real drag. Andrew here could tell you what happens when halflings are promised food and they don't get it.
They get hungry.
Exactly. Yes, we really do like to eat. Luckily, we do have a basic idea of where these ne'er-do-wells would be and where they're hiding. Recently, about a week or two back, one of the farmer's kids went out into the night after spotting some suspicious activity and followed them for a while. Now, according to them, the thief traveled northward for a while, so by looking at this map, and due to the fact that we've been targeted multiple times, my guess is that they're holed up somewhere close by. If I had to make a guess beyond that, it would probably be here. Finson takes his quill pen and marks a small X on the map, just off of a road that goes northwards from Osaris. Now, from what we know, there's a small cave system there, just a bit off the main traveling road going northwards. At least in my mind, that would make a perfect den for someone to be holed up for a while and always have some place to fall back to after. Should be about a day's journey in total from here. But if I can make a suggestion, I would say that all of you could leave this evening and camp overnight, then get up bright and early in the morning and go in before they're ready to defend themselves, whoever these ne'er-do-wells are. At least back when I was a spellbook for hire, we did our best work in the morning. But that's just my suggestion. Oh, I almost forgot. Finson points at Soren. It was you, your friend there, and her that participated in the fight, right? One moment. Finson walks away and grabs a cloth sack from the countertop nearby. He walks back as the bag jingles with the sound of metal inside of it. He places it on the tabletop. That is 200 gold. That is your first payment that you can split it however you see fit. Once this job is completed, I will give you all the remaining 500. But I think that's all I have. We just need as much information as you can bring back to us, and the food as well. Or even just dealing with those who have caused this, and then we can send some people to go and retrieve the food. Whichever works best. Sounds good?
Sure. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Soren leans in, his demeanor uncharacteristically serious.
What kind of rules are we talking about? Pertaining to how you'd like these people to be dealt with. Should we accept?
Sure, of course. If you can avoid it, murder is a bad thing. I understand for mercenaries that sometimes push comes to shove, but we also don't want to sully our town's image. So if you can help it, whoever these people are, if you could subdue them and try to avoid killing. I'm not going to say that's a hard, fast rule, but if it comes down to it, do what you have to do. Oh, something that might be able to help you with that, actually. Finson walks away from the table and goes to the shelves which Layers stole the blue potion from. He searches through them for a bit, mumbling to himself. Where is that one? I'll find it later. He walks back to the table with an array of small, slightly curved glass bottles in his arms. 3 of them have a dark red liquid inside, while 2 are a blue color, which Layers recognizes as the same kind of one that they took earlier. The professor sets them down on the table and slides them forwards. These 3 are standard healing potions that can pick you up a bit if you're in a pinch. Now these blue ones are for the more magically inclined folks. If you're starting to feel tired or drained, they'll help you cast another spell or 2 when you need it.
I'll take one of the health potions if you don't mind.
I'm willing to hang on to one of those magic ones.
Yes, these are for all of you. Feel free to distribute them amongst yourselves. Dante, Alexis, and Cody each take a healing potion, while Soren and Pumpkin grab the 2 blue bottles. I know it's not much, but I understand adventures, and preparing ahead of time is always a good idea. The professor looks out the window to the sun nearing the horizon. Well, I know it's starting to get a little bit late, but if you feel up to it, I would suggest possibly heading out tonight. Sooner than later, maybe get some distance travel before nightfall. This is exciting. It's been a while since I've seen the start of a quest. Well, if that's all settled, frankly, these old bones can't be standing for long nowadays. I might go lay down for a bit. But you all know your way out of here once you're ready to go. I wish you all the best of luck, and I look forward to hearing back about it afterwards. However, I am very tired. I think I had brewed up some chamomile and that's starting to hit me.
Is that what you gave us?
Sorry. Best of luck to you all.
Have a good night, Prof.
Thank you. Professor Finzen takes his cup of tea from the table and turns to walk away slowly from the group, his eyelids beginning to droop. Soren turns back to face the others around the table.
We should talk outside.
Outside? Okay.
Yeah, that would be the best place to.
The group gets up from their seats and makes their way back outside into the late evening air of Osaris. In the distance, crowds and festival goers can still be heard, as the halflings don't seem to be slowing down, even against the encroaching nighttime.
I guess we'll have to reschedule dinner then.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Well then, so what's our plan?
I mean, Andrew, you know this area better than anyone. What should we do?
We'll follow your lead.
Well, do we just want to get going right away? I mean, you guys fought today. Are you feeling okay enough?
As long as we don't encounter anything.
A good night's rest would be nice.
Yeah, I could take a breather.
Well, why don't we grab some dinner and then leave?
I could do dinner. I like eating.
Am I supposed to be coming with you all, or?
Yes.
Why?
Because we're friends now. And also, you have to stay with us until I can get you your gold.
That is also true.
And I don't know how else to get in contact with you.
I will take some of the gold if you do not come with us.
Screw you.
Well, appreciate the offer. Not really feeling that right now.
Just ignore him.
Just come hang out with us. Stay with us until I can get you your gold, and then you're free to do whatever you want.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, I'm Pumpkin.
Layers looks down to the small tabaxi boy who is standing next to them. His hand is outstretched, and he has a chocolate milk mustache on his fur above a big grin. Layers stares back.
Hi.
Oh, just shake his hand.
No.
Oh, further.
Dante grabs Layers' hand and moves it into Pumpkin's open paw.
Oh, you're just gonna be a whole sack of joy, aren't you?
Watch your things.
Uh-huh. Oh, sister, do you have my hat?
Oh, yes.
Alexith takes her own hat off and reaches inside, pulling out Soren's large, flamboyant, yellow-feathered hat, and hands it to her brother. The group begins walking down the main road of the town towards where they all first met, at the Sleepy Donkey Inn. And with the orange evening sky above their heads and the sounds of the festival in the distance, the 7 wanderers all begin to contemplate what is in store for them now, as their fates and their futures are now intertwined, with none of them knowing what is in store ahead. But that's a story for another time. Rolling for Stories, a Dungeons & Dragons radio drama, Episode 2, Battle at the Festival. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following us on Spotify or subscribing to the channel on YouTube at Encore Variety Hour. Narration and non-player characters played by QG Stivenberg. Alexith Keimer is played by Jessica Massal. Soren Keimer played by Ethan Kazitsky. Andri Hilltopple played by Rachel Hippus. Dante Reinhardt played by John Spaeth. Cody played by Abby Kramer. Layers Basque played by Kate. Pumpkin played by Meadow Nightshade. The Blood Hunter class is created by Matthew Mercer and Critical Role. Special thanks to Wizards of the Coast and FantasyNameGenerators.com. For more information about the show, including a full cast and credits list and a full list of third-party media and homebrew content used, check out the episode description on Spotify or the video description on YouTube. Thank you for listening.